You probably wouldn't want to animate this bunch of spheres with a keyframe editor. Using physics animations in TrueSpace, the animation is very easy. You can start with loading any geometrical object. Let's say we load a chair, we'll move it up a little bit because we're going to drop it. And for starters, we'll just assign it a material one from the preset one. In this particular one is iron. We can start simulation, and immediately you can see in real time the behavior of the chair under those circumstances. We can assign additional physical attributes to this chair, such as the velocity, whether it's rotational or translational velocity, and also accelerations. Let's add now rotational velocity to the chair. Rotational velocity will be displayed just like the translational velocity with three-dimensional widget, wireframe widget, which can be directly manipulated. And if we start the simulation, we'll see the chair will now spin a little bit. Not only we can see it in real time, but as we're running the simulation, Caligari TrueSpace also generates the full keyframes, which can then be loaded, visualized, and loaded into Scene Editor. Inside Scene Editor, then you can combine these physically generated keyframes with hand-created keyframes or inverse kinematics created keyframes. There are simple physical constraints, such as a nail in space. And if we do that, we can see the chair now is gonna hanging as if it wasn't a rope around the point in space. We could add a second nail, which in fact would create equivalent of hinge joint in kinematics. But the real fun starts when you combine several objects with several constraints and several physical attributes, such as in this particular case, where we just let the metal iron ball to knock down the entire wall, brick wall. We can even further combine this animation or simulation with wind. The TrueSpace global physical attributes has an atmosphere, and simply you can bring in the wind and direct it from the opposite direction to blow inside of the wall. Because the wind is not too strong, you don't see much of an effect. But we can simply scale this object to increase the strength of the wind, and immediately you can see much more of an impact. In fact, we can increase the strength some more, and then the impact is more dramatic. The quality of the interaction between wind and collision can be very high. In this case, the wind is driving an entire elaborate set of cogwheels. Also, the collision can keep a metaball object, and if we add the gravity to it, the simulation can create a very realistic liquid type of animation. Here we loaded a whole bunch of planes which are simply copied from one to the another, and if we start the simulation, you can see they all fly away, and there is a little collision between the yellow and blue plane. And in order to see that better, we'll just replay it, not simulating. This is a real-time replay, and you can see that that collision is pretty interesting. If we increase density of the air at the bottom of the scene, the sailboat and the wooden logs can literally float on it. And this sailboat is driven by its sail in the wind to simply surf the waves and moving over the wooden logs, which would be, again, very difficult to realistically simulate without the physics. Simulation engine in TrueSpace 6 can handle a large number of objects. We can build a house from bricks and crash a car into it and with a very satisfying results, or we can build a little toy car simply by drilling the holes into the red rectangle, and this car is gonna behave realistically. Notice how the axles are sliding from the side to side. There is no inverse kinematics involved.